Bulletcast for life.
What is going on, boys and girls? Welcome to episode 5 of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon, and on today's episode, we will be going over the usual. We'll be talking about NXT, and we will talk about Total Bellas, as well as some other little things in the news. But first, let's get into the UK Championship Tournament. I will be honest, I only saw day 2, so we'll just be going over that. Not going to go too much in depth, just kind of talk about the show, the matches that happened, and kind of how it involves NXT, because it basically was like a NXT show. So they kind of did an announcement sort of like NXT UK. It seems like there's going to be a new TV show with NXT UK, so we're finally going to have a full-on UK show, more UK talent, which is nice to see, especially with all the talent they had on the show. I don't exactly know a lot of them, so it was fun so it's nice to see that there's going to be more television. Hopefully it's kind of booked the same way US NXT will be, and they will put out good shows. So first off, we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match between Mustache Mountain, which is Trent Seven and Tyler Bate, going up against the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. And Mustache Mountain is able to pull out the victory here. One thing I didn't like about this is not even in the match itself, it's what WWE did. They went out and spoiled it for everybody. They said on their Instagram, on their Twitter, that Mustache Mountain won the NXT Tag Team Championships, and it basically hurt my enjoyment of the match and honestly the entire show, just because if there was a change for the women's match, the North American or the UK Championship match, obviously I would have known that, because if WWE is going to post something about the Tag Team Championship being switched, obviously they would do something about the other ones getting switched, which obviously didn't happen. And the NXT titles, Tag Team titles, were the only titles that changed hands on the show. So it is what it is. But the match itself I thought was really good. Good back and forth work. The crowd was super hot since this was the opening match of the show. Tyler Bate, I think, is a great talent. A little bit undersized, but he's young, so he has time to develop. He will probably get more promo skills. Haven't exactly seen his mic work ability. Don't watch a lot of UK indie scenes, so I don't know exactly what he has on the mic. Obviously, he's so young. He has time to grow. But he is good in the ring. Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, I can see the reasoning behind the title switch, kind of making the show a big deal with having the titles change hands in the UK. I mean, looking at the other titles, I can maybe see why they would want to keep Pete Dunne as the UK Championship. Obviously, Cole and Shayna Baszler, I think they want to keep that for a takeover show, for a big title change and a big match. But yeah, the match itself was good, and yeah. So, the Women's Championship match, Toni Storm went up against Shayna Baszler. I love Toni Storm. Loved her since the Mae Young Classic tournament. She just really stood out. She has a well-developed character. She's kind of like the rock star. She has a good personality. Don't exactly know her mic skills, kind of like Tyler Bate. So, that's kind of the thing, is I'm just kind of going off of their in-ring ability and what they've been doing on the WWE Network shows. But she was a good underdog here. She won the number 1 contendership match on Monday, which led her to face off Shayna Baszler on the Tuesday show. And it was a really good match. Toni Storm is kind of the same height, kind of same size as Shayna Baszler, so she's not an underdog in terms of size, kind of like how Candice LeRae or Kairi Sane or even Nikki Cross is. So Toni Storm can be a credible challenger to Shayna Baszler if they put in the time, if she ever does sign a full-time WWE contract with them. Basically, the story of the match was Shayna Baszler was working over Toni Storm's knee. Storm made a late comeback, putting on some work, but Baszler was able to lock on the chokehold for the finish. But Toni Storm was able to roll her way and get onto the ropes, which was a great spot. Thought it was going to be over, but Toni Storm was able to grab the ropes, but then she falls out of the ring, and then Baszler locks on another submission, and then Storm gets counted out for the obviously for the count out, because that's what happens when you get counted out. You get counted out. And Shayna Baszler retains the championship, but she doesn't go over strong. Doesn't pin her, doesn't submit her. So they're keeping Storm somewhat strong here. So obviously she's a big deal. She's probably one of the top female indie wrestlers in the world at this point. And I think we might be able to see this match at a takeover down the line. Obviously, I think Candice and Kyrie are the two contenders to take maybe not take the championship off of Baszler, but definitely be one of the top. What the hell am I trying to say here? The top opponents for her at a takeover show. We will get into the NXT Takeover or the NXT TV report, so they kind of lay the groundwork for a possible challenger for Baszler there. But onwards to some other matches. There was a fatal 4-way match. Noam Dar returned and won, so now I believe he won, and now he's the number one contender for the UK Championship, so good move there. But I honestly didn't really see a lot of the match. I was kind of going around. Since I didn't really know a lot of these guys, I know Noam Dar and Mark Andrews, but the other two I didn't know. Obviously, they put in the good work, good moves here, and it is what it is. There was a NXT tag team match between Aleister Black, Ricochet, going up against the Velveteen Dream and EC3. Good here. It wasn't great by any means. Just a lot of character development. Just kind of using their their personalities to get over the match. Obviously, with Velveteen and EC3 having, larger-than-life personalities and being heels in the match, they're going to definitely use that to their advantage. Ricochet and Black doing some spots together, which was fun. In the end, Velveteen Dream apparently got hurt, and he left EC3, which led Black and Ricochet to get the win. So, some of the things I didn't really like on the show. Killer Kelly versus Charlie Morgan. Killer Kelly, apparently the first maybe the first ever Portuguese wrestler in WWE, going up against Charlie Morgan. The match itself, it was okay, but it was really hindered by the fact that the crowd didn't really know who they were. I don't know who they were. They put in decent effort, but it just was killed by the crowd being dead silent for the match. It happened right after the NXT Tag Team title match, which was so hot, so obviously the crowd was probably resting and kind of getting their wits about them after the stellar tag team match. Adam Cole went up against Wolfgang for the NXT Wolfgang Championship. No, the NXT North American Championship. And Adam Cole was able to win. I don't know if Wolfgang was supposed to be the babyface going into the match just because he's from Scotland, so he's in the UK, going to get the hometown ovation. But he didn't. Adam Cole was definitely the most popular babyface, or probably the most popular babyface on the show, and the more popular person in the match. So I don't know if they were calling audibles in the ring towards the end, because it looked like Wolfgang was kind of healing up at the end, kind of taunting Cole, kind of being a hot dog, kind of standing up on the ring, on the top rope, and kind of showboating to the crowd, and then that cost him in the end, and Adam Cole was able to pull off the victory. So I don't exactly know what was going on with that. The crowd chanted one more time so Adam Cole can get the Bay thing going. If Adam Cole's supposed to be heel, I don't exactly know why he obliged. He should have just, faked it and then just walked out of the ring and, get the heel heat. Because Adam Cole, as much as everybody likes him in Undisputed Era, they're cool guys, but they are supposed to be heels. But that is, I don't know if that's kind of the indie mentality of, pleasing the crowd and giving everyone their money's worth. I'm just saying, if it was me, I'm supposed to be heel. I'm going to tell the crowd to F off and just go back to... So yeah, Pete Dunne went up against Zach Gibson for the WWE UK Championship. Pete Dunne was able to successfully defend against Gibson, and this was a really good match, I thought. They did some good promo work leading up to it. They had some video packages to say why Gibson wants this shot and why Pete Dunne wants to keep the championship. Gibson won the tournament yesterday, which led him to, or Monday, whatever, and led him to get this UK Championship opportunity. A really good match, back and forth. Pete Dunne was the babyface here. Zach Gibson has a submission hold. That was basically the story of the match, the story of the tournament, how he just kind of was tapping everybody out. Pete Dunne was able to get out of it. Good near falls, kicking out of each other's finishers. And Pete Dunne gets the victory in the end, and then Triple H comes out, since he is the god of wrestling, and he is what is all holy about wrestling, and everyone waits till Vince McMahon retires or dies so Triple H can take over and make WWE great again. That was the WWE UK Championship Day 2 recap. Don't exactly know what happened Day 1, didn't see a lot of recaps about that. So, if you got time in your hands and you want to see some good wrestling, I assume the matches on there were great. Obviously, you know who Zach Gibson. Zach Gibson won the whole thing, but you don't know who won all the other matches. So go out there and watch those and be surprised and see what happens. So, on to the NXT recap. Aleister Black, who is the NXT champion, by the way, came out to cut a promo to talk about his match with Lars Sullivan. Didn't say a whole lot. Kind of got the Rey Mysterio, Jeff Hardy treatment of the babyface. Comes out there, tries to give a passionate promo, but then in the end, since he can't talk all that well, he gets cut off by a heel who can talk, and Tommaso Ciampa is that heel who came out and interrupted. He talked about how he beat Johnny Gargano with his arms tied behind his back, which obviously did not happen because he tapped out various times. At least, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about at this point. This honestly might be the worst episode thus far in this short career of Under the Radar. But at least you were here. As I said probably a few times on other episodes, you were here for the lows. So when you see the highs, it makes the highs so much better. Kind of like WWE. Like, for the most part, the product isn't really that good. But then there's those moments where they have great matches and great stories, and it makes it that much better. So basically, I'm like WWE in that sense. But, so they kind of laid the groundwork down for Ciampa versus Aleister Black. I can kind of jump ahead. Johnny Gargano cut a promo backstage. He was very distraught, very kind of all over the place, and he talked about how the feud's not going to end until Ciampa does. He talked about how what Ciampa did when with him taking off Gargano's ring, spitting on it and throwing it to the crowd was unacceptable. That's kind of the fire that's lit under him to keep going. And this is very personal. So I'm thinking that Gargano is going to do to Ciampa what Ciampa did to Gargano a few months ago when Gargano faced Andrade Cien Almas for the NXT Championship, and Gargano got screwed by Ciampa. And I assume that's what's going to happen here. So a lot of the things that happened on this show, this was the first Full Sail show coming out of the Takeover event. So they've laid the groundwork for a lot of matches going forward. Some might happen at Takeover, some might happen at a future NXT TV show. I haven't seen any of the spoilers, don't know the card for Takeover, don't know what's going on, what any of the matches are. And I like to keep it that way, because knowing the finishes ahead of time just really takes the momentum or the enjoyment out of watching these television shows for me. I know it's NXT, you're supposed to be getting better in the ring and the mic, and I think Aleister Black definitely has it in ring. He doesn't exactly have it on the mic, but I think his character is something to where he doesn't need to be talking all that much. I know he's a champion, so you want him to fill TV time. You're kind of getting him ready for WWE. If he does have to be that top guy, and he has to talk for 10 minutes in the ring for to kick off Raw or SmackDown, but obviously I've said this many times, I don't understand why you need that to happen. I think just having backstage segments, having a quick 45-second promo is something that works great for Aleister's character, because it kind of is like the more he talks, the more mystique leaves his character, because he's kind of like the ominous guy lurking in the shadows, and he comes out, he gets lifted up kind of like a vampire, and he has the candles all around him, and he's very mysterious, and he has his catchphrases like fade to black and all that good fun stuff. But I think less is more with Black here. I think just having him kind of do like vignettes and kind of doing not even backstage promos, just have him do kind of like Bray Wyatt type promos where it's all pre-produced, and it's kind of like in his little, I wouldn't say a boiler room, but in his little area to kind of get his character across. So, laying the foundation for a Black Ciampa feud, which I think is going to be fun. If they just go on with that, I obviously don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be Ciampa versus Gargano at TakeOver. But I think just having this as kind of a TV feud for a couple of weeks, and then Ciampa gets his match against Black, and then they go on to have Gargano go up against Ciampa. I think that's a good way to build the match going forward. I kind of talked about it on the NXT Takeover report. I don't exactly know what they're going to do in terms of the match. I think, honestly, a good way to have the match is just have a straight-up one-on-one match. It's the final straw. It has to be in the rules of NXT, because every time they have no rules, they just go way over the top, and they're almost, on the verge of killing each other. And if they get disqualified, I think William Regal would say, like, if you guys get disqualified, if you break any rules, you're in danger of getting fired, fined, suspended, any of those things, and that kind of would be the reason why they're able to keep their emotions in check and maybe lead to Gargano going over the edge, maybe turning heel. I don't think that's going to happen, but just throwing out some scenarios that might happen. But on to the first match, we have Kona Reeves up against Max Humberto. Kona Reeves, this was a big squash match for Kona Reeves. He is a Hawaiian wrestler. Didn't really excite me all that much. It was just kind of not even like a real squash match. Like it lasted kind of almost 3 minutes. The match itself, it was okay. I mean, I'm not exactly gonna say Kona Reeves is going to the top by any means. I've never seen him before. I assume he's been on NXT TV a couple times. I don't think it's a good gimmick. He's kind of, I don't exactly know what I would call his gimmick. He's just kind of like, he comes out in like a sports jacket and a bunch of chains. I get a bunch of chains, not change, chains. I don't know. I mean, he won with the Samoan drop, and he's kind of a small guy to begin with, so it's kind of like well, they don't call it a Samoan drop, they call it a Hawaiian drop. So I think that's kind of a weak finisher for him anyways. I think maybe a change of the character, change of something, because it's this character right now, I'm not feeling it. Next match, we had Candice LeRae going against Lacey Evans. Good match between the two. Candice is able to win in 5 minutes and 37 seconds. Candice with the very impressive lion salt off the middle rope. Did a lot better than I've ever seen Chris Jericho do it. But good match between the two. Lacey Evans is a good heel. She had her little feud with Kairi Sane. I think Lacey Evans is a good stepping stone for the women's division. A good heel for the baby faces to beat on their way up. And then maybe if a Kairi Sane or a Candice LeRae ever does get the championship, I think you can maybe build up Lacey Evans to be a number one contender. Maybe not for a takeover, but definitely for a TV main event. So afterwards, Candice LeRae did a promo with Kathy Kelly, kind of talking about how she wants to seeing Johnny Gargano be inspired. She's been inspired by Johnny Gargano just because of the passion she showed for the feuds he had with Tommaso Ciampa, and how she wants to take that energy and put it into her own career, and how she wants to go on and be the NXT Women's Champion. And I've said for a long time that I think Candice can be, I know it's kind of cliche just because it's her husband, but she can be the female version of Johnny Gargano. She's undersized, she's a really good wrestler. Decent talker. I think she has her character down just because her character basically is her. She doesn't have to go out of her way. She's not a Velveteen Dream to where it's just outlandish over the top. I think Candice doesn't really have to act all that much to be Candice LeRae. So yeah, onwards to a backstage, or not even a backstage segment, just a video of Heavy Machinery. They were barbecuing some vegetables and some hot dogs and bratwurst, and they were talking about how they want the mighty. It was basically just like a video. They had their iPhones and they were just recording each other talking. And so this is going to set up a Heavy Machinery versus Mighty feud, Mighty match. I don't know, but I thought it was just a fun little segment between the two. So William Regal said on Twitter that Johnny Gargano and Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa need to move on with their lives. So obviously they're going to maybe kind of build up that they don't need that. There's not going to be another match. So I mean, I don't know. I think if they don't ever have another match, I think that's kind of intriguing to me, just having them stay 1-1, and then you can always go back to it down the line if Ciampa does end up beating Aleister Black for the NXT Championship. And that is how you get the final match, and you get Gargano versus Ciampa 3 for the NXT Championship. And basically, William Regal has no choice but having that match take place because it's for the championship. It's kind of more than a blood feud at this point. It's for a championship. That's the whole reason why people wrestle, is to have championships and make money. So, Mustache Mountain made their entrance. They were going to go on and face a jobber tag team. There was like 20 minutes left in the show, so I didn't exactly know what else was planned in the show. I think something that would have been nice, because what happened was Undisputed Era came out and beat up the poor jobbers and cut a promo about how they're going to get those tag titles back, and they teased a beatdown of Mustache Mountain, but then Ricochet came out and made the save. So that set up a six-man tag between Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, and Ricochet against the Undisputed Era, which is Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. So what I was saying was there was about 20 minutes left in the show. The whole match basically filled out the rest of the show. What I would have liked is maybe they had another match announced, and you have that match get cut for time, and you have that match go on next week. Just because, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just something that kind of would make the show a little bit more realistic, because you kind of think that was that supposed to be the main event, and the show was going to maybe go like 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, which obviously is really short compared to what all the other shows are, but NXT usually runs for around 50 to 55, maybe even an hour. But it's just a small little quibble. I think I'm kind of nitpicking here, but in the end, it was a really good match, as you would expect. Kind of started off slow a little bit, but in the end, everyone kind of got their spots in. They got some good moves. Ricochet hit the 630 almost for the victory, but then Kyle O'Reilly was able to pull Adam Cole out in a great shot. Pretty sure it's been memed. It's going to be memed. Just Kyle O'Reilly having like this dumb look on his face, like, oh, I messed up. And Ricochet hits O'Reilly with the dive, but then Roderick Strong comes out, hits him with a backbreaker on the ring apron, and rolls him into the ring, and Adam Cole pins Ricochet for the win. So this obviously, I think it sets up as I talked about on the NXT Takeover show. I think it's going to set up a Ricochet versus Adam Cole match for the North American Championship in Brooklyn, and if that happens, I'm not going to complain. I think that match will be phenomenal. They've obviously had matches in the past on the indie scene. Don't know. I don't think they've ever wrestled. I mean, I don't think Ricochet. I don't really think of Ricochet in ROH, but I think probably in PWG they probably have matches. Probably other indie scenes, but definitely I thought it was a good match. I thought probably the worst. I thought the show overall was a pretty good show, especially being the first show coming out of Takeover, laying a lot of the groundwork for the next couple weeks and going forward. You can see maybe Candice LeRae facing Shayna Baszler at Takeover. You can see Aleister Black and Ciampa, but then what does Jordan Gargano do? Is Gargano gonna face off against EC3, and they really do go off their separate directions, and then Adam Cole versus Ricochet. Don't know what Velveteen Dream's going to do. One thing that they did talk about was Lars Sullivan apparently had a broken jaw in the match against Aleister Black for the NXT Championship. So they showed x-rays, and there really was a broken jaw. So I don't know exactly how long Sullivan will be out for, but obviously well wishes on him. Hopefully he gets better soon. And yeah, so NXT, good show. Step in the right direction. Can't wait. Nothing was announced, I don't think, for next week's show. I'm trying to think. I don't think anything was really announced, so we're going to have to stay tuned to find out what happens there. So on to some video game news. We have Rey Mysterio is announced as the first pre-order bonus for WWE 2K19. Obviously, they've had this type of thing in the past. They've had Kurt Angle, Sting, Ultimate Warrior, Goldberg, and all of these pre-order bonus characters have all led them to become kind of a fixture in WWE, kind of, especially with Sting and the Ultimate Warrior, a way for them to get into or back into the company. So it kind of sets up a intriguing scenario. Rey Mysterio booked for All In. Rey Mysterio just had his match at Dominion with Tanahashi and Jushin Liger. Rey Mysterio says he wants to wrestle in New Japan, but now that he's made appearances for WWE at the Royal Rumble, at the greatest Royal Rumble event. So it'll be interesting to see what Rey Mysterio does. I think it's going to come down to dates, what WWE wants Mysterio to do, because I think Mysterio obviously wants to be kind of a part-time act, and I think he deserves it. He's been a He's been around for almost 25 years, I think, at this point. He's been a wrestler for a long time. A lot of wear and tear. Exciting. I did not pre-order, have not bought any WWE 2K19, didn't buy 2K18 last year. So I think it all kind of depends for me what the deluxe version or the whatever. Like I've bought like the Shinsuke Nakamura pack for WWE 2K17. I got like the Undertaker thing where if you buy like, you know, this really expensive version, like the $100 version, you get like an autograph and a toy and some other things. But I think Rey Mysterio as a pre-order bonus, I think definitely is a good addition for 2K19. What does this mean for WWE product? I think this means we will see Rey Mysterio again in WWE by the end of the year. I don't exactly know what will happen, and he's booked for All In. Is WWE gonna say you can't show up on that show if we sign you? And I think Rey Mysterio. WWE's they let the Hardys work some indie scenes that they booked before they signed their contract. So when it comes to WWE, but this is All In, it's kind of a really big deal. Is WWE going to be petty and say, no, if you're going to sign with us, you can't wrestle for them? It'll be interesting to see. So speaking of indie scenes, the biggest indie tournament ever, every single year, is PWG Battle of Los Angeles BOLA, and the entire 24-man field has been announced, and there is a lot of names honestly on this show, on this card, that I don't know, but it will be a good time. So let's go over the entire list of people. PCO, who I said he had a match against Walter at Joey Janela's Spring Break. It was a match pick of the week for me a few months ago, and I thought that match over-delivered. I don't know why PCO at 50 years old is pulling off moonsaults and bleeding all over the place and put it on fantastic matches, even though he's 50, overweight, and it was a match to behold. If you haven't seen that match, PCO and Walter, go out and see it. It was a crazy match. Kind of a car wreck match, but definitely a fun match to see. And Walter is also in the BOLA tournament, so we have Brody King, Jody Fleisch, let's see, Leisha Dragunov. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to butcher probably a lot of these names because I have not seen it. What I should have done, if I was a good journalist and a good podcaster, I would have went over the thing to begin with, but I didn't. So, onwards to the other competitors, we have Robbie Eagles, Joey Janela, who I said had his spring break, which had the stellar match with PCO and Walter, Puma King, Ray Hortus, David Starr, Chris Brooks, Matthew Riddle, or otherwise known as Matt Riddle, Darby Allin, Adam Brooks, Flamita, DJZ, Jonah Rock, Timothy Thatcher, T-Hawk, Cima, C-I-M-A, Jeff Cobb, Travis Banks, Bandito, Shingo Takagi. So, out of everybody, I probably know maybe 5 to 7 of them. The other ones I don't know all that much about, but it will be fun to see. I haven't honestly seen a full BOLA tournament since, was it 2014? I believe, yeah, it was 2014, the one that Ricochet won. And BOLA's, all PWG shows are definitely must watch. The only problem is, you gotta buy the DVDs. Gotta go old school, no streaming platforms, but that is the plus side of PWG, is they don't have a streaming platform, so that's how they can get all these big indie talents who are on ROH, on New Japan, on all these other on these other places. So it should be a fun tournament. Since I don't know a lot about these guys, I might have to buy the DVDs and check them out. But the problem is, usually by the time because I do PWG has their annual winter sale where you can get 2 DVDs for the price of one. It's a good deal. But by the time I end up buying those things, I end up knowing who wins. So kind of the theme of today's show is spoilers. So yeah, if you go and watch PWG, guys. It's a good promotion. If you've never seen it, definitely go out. If you can go on YouTube, go to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and look up their previews for their shows. They basically show a lot of their high spots, and you can get a glimpse of what you're missing out there. So let's go on to the much-anticipated Total Bellas review. And the most of the show was centered around John Cena and Nikki Bella wedding talk, as most of the other shows have been. And Nikki Bella was talking about how she doesn't know who she wants her to walk down the aisle. Brie had her father walk her down the aisle, but the thing is that Nikki and Brie kind of have a strained relationship with their father. They didn't go exactly in depth to it, but I think reading in between the lines was that Nikki Bella, or the Bella's mom, took care of them for practically all their lives. Don't know why the dad left them. If they got divorced, I don't know. They didn't go into it, so I'm not going to speculate. But Nikki Bella didn't really know what they want to do. All these people are saying what they should do. Brie says that let her mom walk her down the aisle. Some people say JJ, which is their brother, and then for some reason Nikki went to go talk to John Laurinaitis, who is her stepdad. And for some reason, they had a conversation, and then walking away, John thought that he was walking her down the aisle. So we got John Laurinaitis tap dancing on the show, which is fun. He brought out his tap dancing shoes and some like little platform that he has to tap on, and we got to see Johnny Ace do some tap dancing, which is always, the reason why you guys should all go out of your way and watch Total Bellas. So before you go and watch PWG, go and watch your Total Bellas, because you need to watch it. It's just that simple. And in the end, she has a big old meeting or a big dinner with the family, and she announces that as a strong, independent woman. Well, before that, we're gonna rewind it. Nikki Bella goes to therapy. She has a therapist that she talks to on a weekly basis, on a bi-weekly basis. I really don't know, but she has a therapist, and she was talking about it, going over all the different criterias and all the different things that was going on with her life. And she talked about how now she used to be known as Nikki Bella, but now she's known as John Cena's wife. And she doesn't like that. She wants to be Nikki Bella. She wants to be an independent woman, and that is what led to her decision of walking herself down the aisle. She is going to walk down alone, not going to go the traditional route of having her father walk her down the aisle or anybody else. She's going to be doing it, which, kudos to her. If that's what she wants to do, go out and do it. And on Brie's side, her main storyline of the show was her and Bryan were trying to rekindle their relationship. They're trying to get that spark back. Not in a bad way, not that they don't love each other. They just, since having a baby, since having Birdie, they just don't have enough time anymore to go out on dates and do the things they used to, like going on their botanical garden walkthroughs. They said they'd always, when they would go to the TVs, they would go to a botanical garden before they go to the arena, and they'd have a nice little date, and it'd be a fun time, get their juice, and do some hippie things. But they did that. But that was the last date they had. They were kind of going back to their roots. But beforehand, they tried to go on some sort of tandem bike ride, and they tried to go on a picnic, and there was some fans there, and the fans were they weren't rude. They were nice. They were just I think they kind of made them out to be worse than they actually are, but it's just always kind of awkward seeing fans go up, especially wrestling fans, just go up and try to talk to them. And especially, I don't think Brie and Byan really wanted to be in wrestler mode at that point. They took the pictures, they were nice to them, and they went on their way. But then something else they did was a craze that is sweeping the nation, and that is goat yoga. So Brie and Byan went out and did some goat yoga. The goats they looked really big. Like usually when I see goat yoga, they look like little babies, but these look like full-grown goats. They were like 20, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and one goat almost like headbutted Dana Bryan in the crotch. There was poop flying everywhere. Someone pissed on Brie's mat. It was a cluster mess, as you will. So that is it for the lovely Total Bellas recap that I know you guys are all waiting for. Oh, another thing, a huge development that happened. JJ and Lori? I don't know. Anyways, the Bella's brother and her wife are pregnant again, as I talked about in a past episode, and they had their gender reveal party, and they did this thing where they had some sort of like smoke thing, and the color of the smoke told you what the baby was, and apparently they will be having another girl. They have one girl already, they were having a second one, and they said they're only going to have 2 kids, so this will be their final one. JJ really wanted a boy, And Lauren really wanted a girl, so of course the woman gets her way, and they will be having another boy. And John Cena looked awkward talking about children, so further cementing, planting the seed that maybe John Cena doesn't really want kids, but just kind of having Nikki get her way. And I'm not gonna say what came to mind. We're trying to keep it PG here, but Anyways. John Cena, Nikki Bella still planning their weddings. They're still going out and trying to figure out what date they want. I'm still all kind of perplexed of when the dates of this show happened, because they came out and said that the wedding was off, but that apparently now it's back on, and now they're still teasing that the wedding's going to be off. And Nikki Bella, since she is a strong, independent woman, now she's saying on the preview for the next episode that she doesn't want to have what do you call it? Bridesmaids. She doesn't want to have any bridesmaids on the wedding, and the friend looked perplexed and asking why. So stay tuned for that. So that will be it for Under the Radar episode 5. I've already done 5 weeks of this. That's more than a month. I mean, jeez, I can't believe I've been doing it for this long. It feels like just yesterday. I don't know what I'm going with that. So this is kind of a shit show, to be honest. But you guys are here for it, and I appreciate you for that. So thank you guys very much for listening. Make sure to listen to the main Bulletcast show. Drops on Friday, every Friday. And if you want to listen more, if you want to listen to me more, and you've already listened to the Bulletcast episode, go out and listen to Curveballs and Sure Shots. It's another podcast I do with my friend Dominic. I talk about sports as well as wrestling and some other things involved. It's kind of a shit show, kind of like this podcast is. But that's always kind of fun. Just, the really bad podcasts are sometimes the funnest ones to listen to. So that will do it for me for today. Thank you guys for listening, for downloading, for, putting energy and going out of your way and listening to this podcast. I very much appreciate that. And maybe one day I will actually get good at this, and it'll actually be enjoyable. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, so I'm going to get out of here before I say anything stupid. So goodbye and good night. Bet.